I thought I'd run you through my process today for how to plan out your month. I know for a lot of yoga teachers, the idea of the business planning side of things can feel a little bit icky or stifling or contrived. But I've got to say, it really does make all the difference with helping you maintain focus and clarity. It's like a drishti, right? You know, when, I don't know, you're having a wonky day and someone's asking you to do like Vrikshasana into, I don't know, Garudasana into Virabhadrasana 3 all at once, you know, no pause. And if you don't have a drishti, you know all of those asana. You can do them all. Sometimes maybe your warrior 3 is a bit meh, but you can, what is it, tree, eagle, warrior 3, you can do it. But if you're feeling a bit wonky or if you've got a little bit of your own chitta vritti going on, it can be hard to actually stick that, right? Unless you have a drishti, unless you have a focal point, unless you, like the teacher says, maybe you say this to your own students, find a spot on the wall and focus on it to help keep you tracking where it is that you want to go. And suddenly the asana becomes a whole lot easier because you have that focal point. Well, I really believe the same is true in business. So if the idea of goal setting or like KPIs, if you've got any corporate residual sort of corporate samskaras, if that freaks you out, think about this in terms of drishti. So how do you do that? What's the process, Amy, for actually creating a business drishti? Well, for me, I think that a month-long container is a great amount of time to hold that focus. Anything longer in detail feels too heavy for me. Anything shorter feels like I'm still just kind of hustling, and there's stuff going everywhere. So my recommendation and what I do, what I've just been doing these past 2 days, is to actually create beautiful space and time for yourself. So there was a while until it closed that the first day of the month I would take myself to my favorite cafe that had the best chai latte in town, and I would order a big bottle of sparkling water and at least 1, maybe 2 chai lattes, and I would spend that time somewhere beautiful. It was elevated, looked out over my town, and I could sit there and take in the view and drink something delicious and actually feel into what would I like to accomplish? How would I like to serve more deeply this month in my business? So it's a very different approach to goal setting than what you may have done like in corporate. Now, if you roll that way, if you love a Gantt chart and some sticky notes and some colored dots and like a whiteboard calendar, go rock that out. No judgment here. But if you have had a hesitancy about actually getting strategic in your yoga business, consider this approach. Take yourself on a self-care date with your journal and pose this question to yourself. What would feel really good to me to offer in my yoga business this month? What would feel really good to me this month to overhaul or to change or to upgrade or up-level in my yoga business this month? By the end of the month, what would I look back on and say, man, I'm so glad that I did that. I've been putting that off, but it's done now. And I feel great about that and about myself. Journaling on these types of questions. How much wealth, how much prosperity would I love to call into my business this month? Getting clear on these answers. And if you're listening in now and you want to type in, if you want to do this with me, like on the training, type in the answers to those questions. You know, what would feel amazing to you to offer in November? Candida says space and time. It's a must, right? Totally. Gabby's here. Awesome. So what would that be for you? Let your approach to monthly business planning be more of a journaling exercise, more of a svadhyaya, more of that self-reflection time. You know, what did you do last month that was great? What did you do last month that you'd like to do differently? And how does that influence the current month? So it doesn't have to be written down in a chart. It doesn't have to be overly formalized. It can still feel really luscious and like you. It can feel like self-care. You know, go somewhere beautiful. Do you want to take a hike with your fur baby and journal? Do you want to run yourself a bath and journal in the tub? You know, what is it on the sofa under a cozy blanket with a pot of tea? You know, what is going to feel really lovely to you? Put yourself in that environment and then start asking yourself these sorts of questions. How would I really love to serve this month? What would feel like an exciting stretch, not scary, but just maybe with like a little homeopathic dose of scary, but just on the edge there. What would feel like a stretch for me that I would really like to achieve for myself? How would I like to improve the way that I do things so that I have even more grace and flow in my business going forward? What up level would feel great to me? Would it be, you know, would it be how you enroll new students? Would it be how you email your people? Would it be how you share on social media? Maybe there's a tweak to something that you already sell. Maybe your Reiki sessions need to go up by $10. But what would feel like this is something I'm going to bring to my business that's new, that I'm going to refine, that I'm going to adjust, that I'm going to modify. I'm going to give myself a hands-on assist when it comes to my booking system or something like that. So it's just a process of journaling. I've just made myself a tea, speaking of that. And so once you've done this journaling, let it take as long as it takes. It could be a whole afternoon, right? Take yourself on a date with your journal and let this be a part of your business. Go get yourself a pedicure and do this, or whatever floats your boat. You know, I like being on the train. I was on the train a fair bit yesterday, and there's something about moving and looking out the window that helps with my thinking. It helps me have elevated new ideas. How would I like to do things differently? What would I like to change? How could I grow more? How would I love to use my business as my own personal development journey? What's new for me in business? Where's the stretch going to be that's going to make me feel great? Now, once you've done this journaling, from me, because this is how I do, this is my own personal approach month to month. Once I have spent that time in svadhyaya, in self-reflection, then I have a whiteboard. You can't see it, it's off camera, but over there I have a whiteboard. And on the whiteboard, I have, like, at the top, I write down what are the things that I would like to offer in my business this month. So in sales, we would call it, what are my sales targets? So for you, that might be 3 new one-to-one clients and 4 new students on Wednesday night. Or it might be 2 new people into my yoga retreat. Or it might be 5 people into my self-care workshop on the 1st of December. What is it that you would like to achieve as far as sales targets, as far as what it is that you're going to offer for the month, for the whole month of November? What are those things? And do the math. Let yourself be excited about what that abundance would look like when it becomes real for you. You know, when we're looking at manifesting, we really need clarity and precision. So we can start in the Shakti encoded space with the journal, in the tub, in nature, wherever your happy place is. Do that in the Shakti encoded, and then we can entice it over into the Shiva encoded and start to explore in quantifiable terms what that is. So for me, there's my sales targets, what I like to offer into my community, to you guys this month. And then under that, I have a list of, well, who are the people that I would really love to work with this month? You know, like, who would I love to come on my retreat that hasn't signed up yet? Who would I love to have as a private client that might be interested in working with me? So this is like my dream list of people that I would love to work with this month. I write their names on my whiteboard. Again, I'm helping with the manifestation process. I'm really clear about it. I really would love to have those 4 people join me in Thailand in January. They're written on my whiteboard. And again, in sales, you would call this like leads. Like, if you have people that maybe you've got a guy at the end of class and he's always checking in with you because he's injured his knee at football and he's coming to yoga and he's just checking in at the end of each class about how his knee is healing. So maybe he goes in that part of your whiteboard or your whatever you do about perhaps offering him 3 one-to-one classes to help him with his yoga therapy, to help him with his knee. Would that light you up? Would you love to help him with that? Is there someone who, maybe someone who's just let you know, I've got to let you know, I'm pregnant. We're not telling everybody yet, but I'm pregnant. You know, would you like to reach out to her and say, hey, would you like some private classes on this journey? This is what that looks like. Is there, you know, who is it that you would really love to work with? And write them down on your whiteboard as well. And then, or whatever you have. And then on my whiteboard, the last box, I have 3 boxes on the whiteboard. The last box on the whiteboard is, what are the things, what are the tasks or the projects that need to get done so that all of this can happen? Like, what are the, not just the day-to-day stuff, you know, putting in people's new student information into your spreadsheet, or updating your profit and loss, or planning out your social media for the week, or, you know, writing your classes. That stuff has to happen all the time anyway. But what are the additional projects that I choose to take on in my business for the month? So maybe for you, it might be creating a gift certificate for Christmas. Or maybe it might be actively researching where you can go have a vendor table over the holidays and meet people in person. Or maybe for me, one of the things I'm working on this month is a new Facebook ads campaign. So it's not business as usual. There are some additional extra projects that are going to help me achieve the overall goals, as well as keep me in the vibration that I've identified I desire for myself during that journaling process. Is this making sense, folks? Joanna, hey Joanna, Fiona's here. How cool. So this is my process that I go through at the beginning of every month. And then I don't feel, and I just do those things. And I'm not going, oh, I haven't done enough, or I'm not working hard enough, or I've got so much to do and I don't know where to start, or gosh, I feel like I'm not growing, or oh, God, I'm really bored with doing the same old stuff all the time. I feel really in alignment with my vision for myself, because I have this kind of esoteric, a little bit nebulous vision, but because I've done the work and I've actually encapsulated it with more of that shivering coded qualities, linear, direct, mapped out, I have both at the same time. And if I just work on the things that are on the whiteboard, I'm great. Like, I'm in Ananda Tandava when I do, you know, the dance of bliss. I'm there when I'm working on that stuff, and I don't have to worry about anything else. And if I'm thinking about, you know, I'd like to make some classes to teach online, and I'd like to make a handout for my restorative thing, and I'd like to really wash all of the blankets and get them restacked, and that gets to be a project for December. I don't have to be thinking about that right now, because I've got my stuff. I know what I'm doing for November, and all of the rest, that will bubble up at a future bath, cafe, nature, journaling time, maybe next month, maybe a month in the future. So this is my actual process. Now, here's the deal with all of that. Like you know, I don't need to tell you guys this about, you know, the manifestation process. There's so much in like the new age movement about how you go do this. Go read Wayne Dwyer books if you want to, you know, I'm not an expert on this as far as teaching on the topic. But what we do know is that when we are very clear with our intention, and we really know what we desire, that's when we take a more active role in creating our reality. If you want to read great books on this, I recommend Mike Dooley's body of work. Like Leveraging the Universe is a great book. Get on some of his stuff. But I think we need to always remember that one of the core teachings from the Bhagavad Gita, as yogis, this is really important for us to remember. It gets to be a touchstone on how we approach this material. And I had the very good fortune 2 weeks ago of hanging out with Carlos Pomeda, and he was talking on this topic and how it is so often, as in like almost always, misrepresented in yogic circles. So if you see this teaching pop up in your Facebook feed because someone's made a quote card, chances are they've got it wrong. But there is a teaching in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is talking to Arjuna, you know, at the beginning of the war, before the battle starts happening. Essentially, you know, the Bhagavad Gita, I like to say, don't send me hate mail, ISKCON people. I know it's more profound than this. I'm being superficial for a reason. I like to think of the Bhagavad Gita as like a bromance pep talk. You know, like Arjuna is having a shit of a day and Krishna is like, mate, this is how it's all going to work, and this is why you have to do it. And there is a portion in there where Krishna is instructing Arjuna about how he needs to go pursue his dharma with ferocity and with great intention and with everything that he absolutely has. And we often see this mistranslated as pursue your dharma but don't be attached to the fruits. Type in something if you know this, right? If you've seen this around, this like unattached to the fruits. Robin's here. Robin says, I had a realization this morning. I have let my intention be divided in what I want in all areas of my life, right? So I always like to say, like, the universe does not get mixed messages. Don't confuse upstairs. If you're trying to manifest your reality, you've got to be clear. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get to change your mind, but if you're like all over the show, How is someone going to meet you there? She was like, what? I don't know. I'm ready to give it to her, but dang, Robin, like, is it this one or is it that one? So yeah, you absolutely have to be clear. Candida says, intention, 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 have fun. And it just seems to flow, right? Totally. We are on the same page with that one, sister. Yes. So who's heard this teaching of like, yes, pursue your dharma, but don't be attached to the fruits? Is it just me? Surely everyone else gets those quote cards. I think I used to actually post them a couple of years ago. Embarrassing. Because actually the teaching is far more nuanced than that. Think about it. You're Arjuna, right? You are the best warrior in your family. You are about to lead your family out onto the battlefield for what will be the bloodiest, most violent war in the history as mankind knows it at that time. It's a fairly big deal. And Krishna, who up until that point Arjuna just thought was like his best friend, has actually just said, yes, I'm your best friend, but I'm also God. Check this out. And shown Arjuna the whole thing, like all of it. Can you imagine being shown like the nature of consciousness from someone that you just thought was a dude you used to go have beers with? It would kind of be intense, right? So this is the magnitude of the conversation that's going on. And Krishna is explaining to Arjuna like how everything works. Everything. Like, here's the gunas, man. If someone's telling you about the gunas for the first time, like, it's a lot to take in, right? It's a big conversation and the stakes are very, very high. Could you imagine if Krishna actually said, you know, Arjuna, yes, pursue your dharma. You've been raised to be the best archer in the land for your whole life, and you've got to go out and kill all of your relatives, and we know it's going to end badly, but, you know, it's your dharma, so go do it. But you know what, man? Don't worry about what happens. Because that's actually what pursue your dharma, but don't be attached to the fruits would look like. Just go out there and, like, you know, have at it. But don't worry. She's good. Okay, so obviously that's not actually what is going on in that exchange. In fact, you have to be white hot about those goddamn fruits. You've got to go get them. You've got to do what it takes to do it. Arjuna wasn't just going out onto the battlefield like, meh. He was pursuing his dharma. He was going out onto the battlefield and he was going to fight for... I just had anyway, we won't go there. Pop culture reference. Don't do it, Amy. I've been listening to that. We're listening to Ben Harper a lot lately. What can I say? But you get my point, right? You've got to go for this. As my coach would say, like your hair is on fire. You really have to go. You have to be so attached to the fruits because that's going to move you forward. You have to have the white hot burning desire to get the goddamn fruits. Now, here's what the teaching actually means. If you don't get the fruits, you don't get the fruits. But it doesn't mean don't go for the fruits. Go for the fruits. Once you've done your Shakti work and you've figured out how you want to feel and what you'd like to create and how you want to serve, and then you've done the Shiva work and gone, okay, it looks like offering these things and I'd really like to work with these people, and in order to make all of that happen, here's some extra projects I'm going to go get done for myself and my business. It does, if it's just sitting there on the whiteboard, it's like a fantasy. That'll be nice. Oh, you know? Nope. Like, it's like me. It's like Amy watching Dylan Werner videos and just thinking, oh, I'd like to do a one-arm handstand. It's not going to happen. Just watching Dylan do it, right? I'm going to feel inspired. I'm going to feel motivated. I'm going to love watching it, but I ain't getting myself into a one-arm handstand unless I get my shit on the sticky mat. The same is true for fulfilling your business goals. Yes, be attached to the fruits. If you want the fruits, go out and get them. And if the shop happens to be shut when you get there, or the tree is empty, or wherever else you get your fruit from, well, that sucks. Move on. Next. So it's a misinterpretation that we should know what we want, but be unattached about the outcome. Bullshit. Go for the outcome. This is a misconception in the Bhagavad Gita. Let's reclaim it. You've got to be fierce about the outcome that you want. You've got to be clear with the universe, and then you've got to also go do what you need to know to do to make it happen. I was at Satyananda Ashram here in Victoria for International Yoga Day this year. They were teaching for the year, they have like from HQ, Satyananda HQ, this is what we're focusing on for the year. And one of the teachings was doing yoga asana in 3 rounds. Same yoga asana sequence, Satyananda yoga, very similar. Shivananda yoga, simple, slow, not super alignment specific. You can, do it in your whatever clothes. It's good stuff. But they're saying you do the yoga asana sequence 3 times. The first time you do it and you feel into it. The second time, I can't remember the second one. But the third one, you actually do the yoga asana and you imagine that you're nailing it. You imagine that you're nailing it. That's not the phrase they use. You imagine that you've got it all perfect and that you are resplendent and that in that moment, in your embodied state, it is exactly as you desire it to be. And it was incredibly powerful. You actually close your eyes and you just perfection, whatever that looks like for you. And you are, right? And you hold that intention for yourself and you do the yoga asana with that energy. And it was incredible to me when I was doing it because I felt totally different doing exactly the same asana. I've just done everything twice. And then in this third lot, everything felt more spacious and stronger. And I was really receiving the benefits of it. It was like the best trikonasana of my life because I had the mindset that it was. I was attached to the fruits of my actions. I was getting myself the best trikonasana of my life, and I did. So there is a time to be attached to the outcome. Now, so to come back to Robin's point, not only do we have to be very clear on our intention, but we actually have to hold firm to it and believe it to be true for ourselves, like it has happened already. When I look at the people on my whiteboard that I want to work with, I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about how much I'm going to love giving them a hug in Chiang Mai when I see them at the airport. I'm thinking about, this new client who I'm going to start working with this month. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so attached to that outcome and I'm going to do what it takes to make it happen. Not in a weird, salesy, icky way because we don't do that here, right? That's not how we roll. None of us, none, not allowed. But I am going to do everything with an open heart and that feels good to me to make that my reality all month long. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. But I am not unattached. I am attached. One of the definitions of yoga essentially is about attachment. Like connect yourself, yoke yourself to something. Hold on, stick with something, be attached to something, get fierce and go for it. And we forget this. It's not about unattached. There are beautiful traditions that is all about non-attachment. Yoga is not one of them. There is a time to be attached. So get attached to your goals. Feel like they're happening already. Get yourself into that bhav, into that mood of success. Because we're here when we talk about success, it's not like freaking Wolf of Wall Street success. If you are clear on what your goals are in your yoga business, if you are successful in those goals, you are serving more people. You are helping more people heal and transform. You are sharing the boons of yoga. And that is powerful beyond the nuts and bolts of, did you hit your sales targets? It's good for the planet. And God knows we need that right now. So a little refresher, Amy's start of the month business planning process. Take myself on a self-care day and journal my heart out. Come home, look at what I got, distill it out into some go-dos, which look like, what am I going to offer, i.e. sales targets? Who would I love to work with, i.e. leads? And what are the things I need to go get done in my business beyond the everyday to progress those things and make them my reality? At the same time, being white hot about these fruits, attached to these outcomes, calling it in, Shakti, manifesting, mindset, vibration, energy, and getting shit done, Shiva, action plan, putting stuff in my Google Calendar. What am I doing tomorrow based on what I've put on the whiteboard? It's mapped out so that I'm not like all hurly-burly about what needs to get done. I'm super clear and I can go make it happen. So there you have it, folks. There's Amy's start of the month planning process. Joanna says, I've lost the thread here, but Joanna's talking about something great that she learned from a former Jain monk. Yes, you want to know where the yamas came from? The Jains. They had it first. Maddie Lee says, yes, do the work to get the thing. And if it doesn't work out, then accept and regroup and go for more fruit, right? Yes, Maddie, I love it. Totally. See the picture and become it then, says Candida. Yes. And do the work to make it happen. See the picture, focus on the picture, focus on the outcome, and do the work. Coming back to Mike Dooley, I think it's in Leveraging the Universe, he has this great diagram. It's like a diamond shape, split in half, I think, and well, some shape split in half. And on one side is like, what are you going to do? What's the stuff that you can do? Me, meat suit, embodied Amy. What am I going to go do? And on the other side, what am I asking the universe to do for me? It's, you know, I often make this analogy when I first did my very first handstanding workshop in Sydney with Betsy back in the Anasara days. And she taught, it was kicking up at the wall. And for me, that was terrifying and really hard back then. Like really, it was scary. It was, I'd never done that before. And I was scared of being upside down. You know, you have students like that. And maybe you had that time in your asana journey as well. That was where I was at. And you know, when you have a student and your heart opens for them because they are kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking, and there is no way that their heels are coming anywhere near the wall, and they're still going sideways, and they still can't actually understand that they're still bending that top leg, even though you've told them again and again to keep it straight. They actually can't conceive of themselves in space upside down. That was me kicking and kicking and kicking. And the kicking is so much harder than the being in handstand, right? At the wall. And Betsy came to me and she said, you know, there is a point here in this asana where you need to ask for more than what you have within your embodied state. I'm paraphrasing, but this is essentially it. And she was giving me the teaching that there is a time when you need to call in Shakti. There is a time when you need to rely on your greater self, spirit, God, however you identify, to get you the rest of the way. Your meat suit, your embodied state can get you so far. But then after that, we need divine intervention. And that's, I think, Candida, we need both of them, right? Like we need here's me going for it, kicking and kicking and kicking until I nail it. And then there is that last like 5% just to get my leg that little bit further. And I remember it so vividly, putting my hands down, thinking, this sounds like a pack of bullshit, but I'm going to, you know, what have I got to lose? Putting my hands down on the sticky mat and just taking a moment before I did that last kick up and saying, okay, I need help. I'm doing what I can do, and I need you to help me get the rest of the way. And I didn't really believe it at the time, but I thought I would just give it a try. And bingo bango, Amy's first handstand at the wall. So there is something to this stuff, right? If Yogananda thinks it's all right to talk about, Rhonda Byrne thinks it's all right to talk about, Candida thinks it's all right to talk about, let's give this a whirl as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you all today, everybody. I hope it's been useful. Okay, Yogi Superstar, let me ask you a question. Have you registered yourself yet for retreat? Back in Thailand in January 2019 for the Abundant Yoga Teacher Retreat. Think business, training, yoga, amazing new friends, killer food, beautiful place to stay, lots of time to work on your business, rest, relax. Have a great time. Come, register. Here's the link.